Jealousy or character? Amelia Warner and her unique attitude towards Jamie's warnings. 1. When the lights go on. There's something few people realize. The most talked about scenes are often the quietest moments for those behind the scenes. When the lights blaze on the set, when the director shouts, "Action!" everything is set up to serve a single purpose, storytelling. And then, when the "cut" is said, the emotions that were just expressed are neatly packaged, like a costume backstage. In this fictional story, Amelia Warner understands this better than most people. 2. The question everyone wants to know. Is she jealous? That's the question that pops up under every article, every comment, every conversation surrounding Jamie Dornan whenever he's involved in a project with intimate scenes. People ask with curiosity, sometimes with judgment, and strangely enough, with enlightenment. But is jealousy, if it exists, a simple or complex emotion? And understanding, does it come from free poison, or from the object of the object? 3. Amelia, the woman on the other side of the screen. In this fictional world, Amelia isn't someone sitting in front of the screen with tension, nor is she avoiding her husband's films. She chooses a different approach, knowing enough to avoid overthinking. She doesn't watch every scene, doesn't dwell on every frame. She sees the whole picture, the story, the rhythm, the artistic application. For Amelia, it's not a sex scene, but an integral part of the character. 4. Jamie, the man who brings work home. Jamie in this story doesn't always find it easy to leave work. There are days he comes home with a long, drawn-out persistence. Amelia senses this even before he says anything. Not currently. Not a complaint. Because the forum outputs a large number of comments. Amelia didn't ask any further questions. She simply placed a cup of tea on the table, sat down, and let the quiet do its work. 5. Jealousy, an undeniable emotion. In this story, Amelia never said she never felt jealous. To say so would be untrue. Jealousy, after all, is a human reaction when something touches the most private area. But jealousy doesn't equate to suspicion. And emotion doesn't equate to action. There are very small moments, when reading a sensational headline, when gently glancing at a behind-the-scenes image, when Amelia feels a very gentle wave. Not enough to call it pain, but enough to realize, I am still human. 6. The difference between jealousy and fear. What Amelia clearly distinguishes is, she isn't afraid of losing Jamie. She wasn't worried that those scenes would take him away. She understood the line between acting and what people saw, clearly, to any degree. What outsiders called intimate scenes, in Amelia's eyes, was just a technical moment, with lighting, cameras, a script, and a whole crew standing around. No private thoughts. No secret adjustments. 7. Conversations without dramatic explosions. In this distorted world of filmmaking, Amelia and Jamie didn't have dramatic arguments about their profession. They talked like two adults who understood each other's work. Jamie once asked, very directly, "Do you find it difficult?" Amelia didn't answer immediately. She thought, considered, and then said, "It's difficult when you don't say anything. Otherwise, your work. I understand." That answer wasn't a sacrifice, but a conscious choice. 8. Media and imagined stories. On the outside, the story is told differently. Question marks, unsolicited psychological analyses, hypotheses built from information gaps. Amelia knows it all, but she doesn't participate in the dialogue. With each response, the story is extended, and sometimes, silence is the best protection. 9. When understanding becomes the foundation. Understanding, in this story, doesn't involve the word familiar. It comes from a two-way religion. Jamie doesn't see Amelia's relief. Amelia doesn't control Jamie's work. They meet at the middle ground, where emotions are acknowledged, but not allowed to dominate the entire relationship. 10. Things no one sees. People don't see the ordinary evenings, where there are no red carpets, no cameras. Amelia and Jamie cook together, share silence, and laugh about the little things. There are no sex scenes, actors. Only a husband and a wife who understands him well enough not to be swept away by the image on the screen. 11. Jealousy or understanding? Do you really have to choose one? In this fictional story, Amelia doesn't choose between jealousy and understanding. She allows both to exist, but puts them in their proper place. Jealousy is a fleeting emotion. Understanding is determined by its duration. One comes and goes. One stays and builds a foundation. 12. When the audience turns off the TV. When the audience turns off the TV, when the controversial scenes reappear, real life goes on. Amelia doesn't bring those images into the bedroom, doesn't let them intrude on moments of counseling. By with her, what I see in Amelia. In this distorted world of filmmaking, what Jamie appreciates most about Amelia isn't her caring nature, but her calmness. She doesn't love him for their company image, nor does she let that image dictate her feelings. He once thought, not everyone is strong enough to distinguish between acting and real life. 14. A relationship not measured by film scenes. Amelia knows that if a relationship can be broken just because of film scenes, it has already been fragile from the start. In this story, their relationship isn't based on avoidance, but on trust nurtured every day. 15. The conclusion, a little told story. Perhaps what sparks public curiosity isn't is Amelia jealous, but rather, how can someone feel their own emotions without letting them hurt others? In this fictional story, the answer lies not in perfection, but in maturity. Jealousy, if it exists, is acknowledged. Understanding is chosen. And love is kept in a quiet, enduring state, needing no proof.